HRN listeners. As we celebrate our 15th year, we are deepening our commitment to giving voice to the next generation of food systems storytellers, and we need your help. Our internship and fellowship programs help activate new possibilities for underrepresented and underestimated young people through experiential journalism, audio engineering, and production training. Through these unique programs, HRN helps food equity stewards build essential workforce readiness skills that expand their potential and foster economic mobility. Please consider supporting these critical programs. And with a minimum donation, you can be entered to win a dinner for two at an amazing restaurant in one of 8 cities and tickets to a concert at a great venue in one of those cities. We have incredible partners across the country who have donated, as they also share our passion for helping to educate the next generation of food systems storytellers. Check out heritageradionetwork.org/15 to donate and enter to win today. That's heritageradionetwork.org/15 to donate and enter to win today. And make sure you donate before March 31st. Thank you.
Welcome to Heritage Radio Network on tour. I'm Kat Johnson here with Caity Moseman Wadler. Hello, Caity.
Hey, Kat. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. It's a summer Friday because we're not in the office. We've been in North Carolina for the past few days.
It's a tough life, but someone's got to do it.
Exactly. We're up for the challenge. And so we've been at the International Symposium on Bread here in Charlotte for the past couple of days. And we're heading to the airport in just a few minutes. But we had to make a final stop. And that final stop is at one of our favorite places in the world, honestly.
True.
Yafo Kitchen in Charlotte, North Carolina. And this is the third location. You may remember our interview 2 years ago with Chef Shai Fargian at the first location of Yafo Kitchen. And we're here 2 years later at the third, now open. So welcome to Shai Fargian, and thank you for having us for lunch today.
Thanks for being here, and hopefully I can make your Friday a little easier.
You made our Friday. Yeah, absolutely. I think we were a little worried that we might not have eaten all the things in Charlotte yet. So we can leave confidently saying there's definitely no more room to eat anything in Charlotte today.
You definitely ate all the food in Yafo, I think.
Yes,
so
I think we did.
But we shared,
did a pretty good job.
and it was a very... we broke bread, as they say.
Yes. Can you give maybe a quick overview? I mean, I counted at least 30 plates on our table, but maybe a snapshot of what we ate for lunch.
We literally ate probably 90% of the menu.
Look, what we
highlight. Go big or go home. But I'll highlight the new dishes that you've had here for the first time today versus last time. Is we had our organic carrots, pickled carrots and celery. We had our amba chicken salad, stuffed avocado bowl. We had our chicken schnitzel, who's I really like. It's kind of one of our latest additions. Our summer squash and black lentil and beluga lentil salad. Hummus. I'm gonna take all the time if I had to name everything that we've had.
And then just imagine like 30 more delicious dishes and sauces and pita and dessert. We didn't even get to dessert. We had Turkish coffee brownies. We had a Middle Eastern 7-layer bar and Nutella and Valrhona chocolate truffles. Yeah.
We also had some really great drinks that you have available here that you make in-house. Can you tell us about the different flavors that you have, and then the hot tip you gave us on how to make a combo drink?
Yeah, so all of our drink would have been much better if we had alcohol here, but we only serve beer and wine, so we cannot do that. But we have our cucumber lime mint juice, which is our first one that we've made at Yafo. We go through 40 pounds of cucumber every day just for that juice in each store. The second one we had was the coconut limeade, which is almost like a virgin pina colada, I could say. And then we have 2 of them that are technically teas or infusions, where we take dried fruits and steep them in water. So we have our love potion. It's cranberries, hibiscus, a little bit of coconut. And then we have our Call Me Big Papaya that has papaya, kiwi, mango, passion fruit. So, and then we also have organic teas.
But the combo.
Oh, the combo. Sorry. So This is something that I've actually learned from one of our general managers, because we were talking about how we can mix it with other things. He's like, oh, you don't need the alcohol. Just mix the love potion and the ginger ale. And that kind of gives it a really added sweetness and the carbonation.
We'll vouch for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you've expanded to 3 locations within the past year and a half, 2 years?
Yeah, 1 year. In the last 1 year. So we went 2 years from number 1 to number 2, and then 4 months from number 2 to number 3.
So can you talk a little bit to us about you and your partners, what you're thinking about when you're deciding when and where to open another location, and why you think it's better to grow slowly than to just try to, blow up with a bunch of franchises of Yafo?
Well, the biggest part is that we're very food-centric. We pay a lot of attention. Everything is made in-house, and we can't just send somebody the recipe and let them have it. We have our hummus recipe on the wall in one of the restaurants, and people are like, oh, this is your biggest item. How do you give the recipe to everyone? And I said, it takes 2 days to make our hummus. And even for us, it's really hard to create consistency in that production. I only have 2 people in each restaurant that make hummus, and the chef tastes it every time they make it. So if you want to make it at home, go ahead.
Right. Good
but
luck.
I'm not telling you it's going to taste the same. I mean, here's the recipe, but it's not going to taste the same. Mm-hmm. So for us, because we're so food-centric, and we're trying to make sure we find the right people that I can trust with our food, people that have worked with us for a while. Either we promote from within, 2 of our 3 chefs that are with us are people that were cooks for us before that. And either that or people that were chefs for us in the past for my partner at one of his other restaurants. So we really can't just tell you, this is Yafo, here's the recipe, here's the manual, go do it. There's a big food part to it, and there's just as equal a big hospitality part to it. We don't want you to feel rushed going through the line. We want you to get almost like a full service experience in a fast casual setting. So we spend a lot of time training our front of house staff as well. And in most fast casual restaurants, you don't even have a differentiation between front of the house and back of the house. We have a general manager in each restaurant, an assistant general manager, a chef, and a sous chef, which is the same as any full service restaurant you'd go. But if you'd go to a Chipotle or any fast casual restaurant, you have a kitchen manager and a manager. So we can't, like I said, we can't just blow up and do a bunch of Yafos. We want to really make sure that we stay consistent and keep the quality where we want it to be.
Mm-hmm. Can you talk about your feelings sort of as an executive chef at a fast casual restaurant, but one that is taking food very seriously? How has your sort of self-perception evolved over the last 3 years of Yafo?
It was hard at the beginning. I met you guys like 2.5 years ago. Mm-hmm. And at first, when we opened Yafo, I was almost ashamed to be like a fast casual chef. I'm a chef. I'm not going to make falafel and hummus and street food. But as we grew as a concept, and we can talk more about where we took the food in the last 3 years, but as we grew in a concept and the support that I got from Frank, our partner, and the type of ingredients that we use and the type of attention we pay to the food, I really don't think that we fall behind any full service restaurant in our town or anywhere that I've been. So going from a place in the past where I was like, yeah, I make falafel and hummus, to I'm able to say now that I'm very proud of the food that our teams produce, and using Springer Mountain chicken for our chicken, using certified Angus beef for our beef, using local organic produce in mass quantities. We're going into summer now. We're going to get tomatoes. When we go to farmers and say, hey, if I had a chef restaurant with 40 seats, I could probably get it done with 100 pounds of tomatoes a week. Which is very accommodating for a local farmer. But when I go to a local farmer, when he asks me how much tomatoes I need 2,400 pounds a week. So it was a big process for us to work with our vendors and adjust our supply manager to be able to bring that kind of local and organic ingredients to a wide distribution in 3 restaurants.
Mm-hmm. Talk about other changes to the menu, because you had to sort of carve out a niche here in Charlotte, and talk about the reception of the food and kind of what people were expecting, and maybe how that might have changed from then until now.
So when we opened Yafo 3 years ago, we were new to the market, but also this type of food was pretty much new to people in Charlotte. Charlotte as a city and as a food scene has grown a lot in the last 5 years, and we've got nothing but love from the people of Charlotte, and I'm very, very grateful for that. When we opened, people would ask me, "Oh, what's that falafel thing?" And I just have to explain to them, like, falafel is no different than a hush puppy. It's a fritter, and we cook it in oil, but it's made with organic chickpeas and herbs. So when we started, we were kind of at the point where we had to introduce Mediterranean, Middle Eastern cuisine to the people of Charlotte. 3 years in, we've kind of feel like that our base guests has educated themselves. Partially with our help, partially with the growth of the city, and they're much more open for more adventurous food right now. And I don't have to explain to everyone what falafel is anymore, and I don't have to explain to them what shawarma is anymore. And we used to have those dishes that we would call a gateway drug, so our Greek yogurt mac and cheese or our Brussels sprouts.
The mac and cheese is a drug. I'm not sure I would call it a gateway drug, but I am definitely addicted to it.
Thank you. But when we bring someone through the door and, they're not used, we're in the South, so they eat mac and cheese. And then maybe next time they're going to try the potatoes. And then maybe next time they're going to try the falafel. Maybe then they're going to try the kofta. So it's something that helped us bring. And now I don't feel like I have to tell them, "Oh, it's your first time, try the mac and cheese." I'm like, "Oh, it's your first time, or it's your third time, go for the red zhug." It's we talked about it earlier. It's the more comfortable your guests feel with you, and like I said on the hospitality piece, we call them guests. We don't say customers. We're in the hospitality industry, not in the restaurant industry, and we want people to feel when they come in here that they're like a guest in my house. So same attention I pay to the food, I would pay to the way we treat them. And when we give them recommendations, it took us a long time to educate our guests and to educate our staff to make the right recommendations. And at this point, 3 years in, I'm very confident that, and what it allowed us to do is to put more dishes that are more progressive in that cuisine on the menu, like amba chicken salad, like schnitzel, like grape leaves or stuffed cabbage in the winter. Things that may have not worked, or it's summer now, once we get tomatoes, we're going to start doing shakshuka. I don't know if 3 years ago I could have done shakshuka. Now I'm sure we're going to sell a lot of it.
Yeah. And so you have a huge array of components also, because people can come in and they can make a bowl.
Yes.
But you've got tons of sauces, tons of condiments, tons of like other kind of mezze. And how has that sort of evolved with the guests coming in and what they kind of know to ask for? Or how do they know how to order like a bowl that's going to work for them?
So it's hard. The biggest comment that we get from our guests is that it's overwhelming. Mm-hmm. A lot of people come in here, and you'll know they're first timers if they kind of take 3 steps back from the line and look at the menu board and like stare at it for a good 2 minutes. And we taught our staff or our team members, when you see that and it's very noticeable, you can see it right over there right now. They're like standing there and they're like, "Oh, what's that?" So we taught them to go to these people and to say, "Hey, is this your first time? What do you like to eat?" It's something that's lost in a fast casual, and we're trying to create it. Because if you go to an authentic or to an ethnic restaurant, you'll have a server and you'll ask him questions. It doesn't work like that here, but we're trying to create that experience regardless. So with those people, and it puts on us pressure on the food part as well, because people might make combinations that are not good. So we have kind of on the menu we have signature items or signature bowls, which are flavor combinations. Is this your first time and you want to order chicken shawarma? I'm going to tell you what goes in with the chicken shawarma that's going to be good for you. And then as you go through the line and you want to add more things, great. And then next time you can probably build your own bowl. but also because people mostly, probably 90% of our guests build their own bowls, it puts more pressure on the food to be really good individually, because I don't know what's going to go in their bowl. So everything has to be good at the same time, and everything has to work with one another at the same time.
So I want to see inside your brain and understand what you're doing now on a day-to-day basis, because you're a partner in a lot of different restaurant locations, and you've got 3 Yafo Kitchens. You have to think about the kitchen operations. You have to think about the menu. You also have a degree in logistics.
Yes, and supply chain management. Yeah.
Supply chain management. And so you're thinking about that. You're thinking about seasonality and working with local farmers and working with distributors and managing all these 10 million things. So what is a day in the life of Shai's brain right now?
So I got a 2-month-old baby.
Brains?
So my brain is fried, and I learned that I perform decently with insomnia. But no, so my day starts pretty early.
Yeah.
I get my daughters ready for school and make their breakfast for them. And then I get to the restaurant. I usually try to do no more than 2 restaurants a day, just so I can spend time with the chefs and spend time with the cooks. The biggest challenge for me at this point, when we had one restaurant and I could, not physically but metaphorically, touch all the people, all of our cooks. And it's hard to take American cooks and explain to them the flavor profile of Middle Eastern food. Explain to them how to caramelize the vegetables and how to make mac and cheese in a pan, not in an oven, and how to, season the shawarma properly, because the way you cut the food influence the way you eat it at the end. Probably that's a conversation I've had 3 times this week, is teaching a prep cook to think before he cuts lettuce. Mm-hmm. Because the way you cut it, you have to think about what we're going to do with it after you cut it. Is it going to get cooked? Is it going to stay raw? And what's going to happen to somebody that puts it in his mouth? And what else goes on that bite with it? So it doesn't matter if it's lettuce or chicken or potatoes. We always have to think about what happens to the food after you cut it. Mm-hmm. So I try to spend as much time as I can at this point with my cooks on the line and with my chefs. On the chefs mostly because I want them to be able to train the cooks, because I can't do it with all of them all day long. So I go in the morning, I work in one restaurant with one cook, and then kind of during the lunch service, I work on my administrative stuff, talk to farmers, and things that require long-term thinking. We have a purchasing manager in the company. I work a lot with him because when we want to get enough tomatoes for us, I'm going to go back to the tomatoes because it's something that's very near and dear to my heart. So we had to talk to a farmer about tomatoes 3 months ago because we needed them to plant enough tomatoes for us. So right now I'm thinking about what we're going to use in the winter, and what we can get locally, and if we can get it locally, what we need to bring from the Middle East or from Israel, because all of our spices come from Israel. Our tahini comes from Israel. Our pickled cucumbers come from Israel. And every time we go, we meet new vendors and we try to create more products that will come from there. So that's a whole another operation to order something that's going to be here 2 months from now in a different season, and how that's going to go on our menu. So that's what I do in the middle of the day.
You go into your importer job.
Yes, the importer, supply chain management, running numbers, reports. And then in the afternoon, I go back to working with the cooks. And then in the evening, it's more working with the chefs and what they need to order to have all the food for their restaurants and their order guides and their prep list for tomorrow and how they manage their kitchen. Mm-hmm. It's a word I have to use, but I found myself use it a lot, like food philosophy. It's very important for me that my chefs will understand my food philosophy and my management philosophy, because eventually I'm not going to be able to be there in all the restaurants, and I want the restaurant to run as if I was there. Mm-hmm. Obviously, they have their own freedom, and they each have their own management style, and they have the way they inspire their people. But I need to make sure that going to 3 restaurants, if we've had this meal, but if we would stop this meal in the middle, go to our Central Avenue location, which is 15 minutes away, and pick up the same meal, it will taste exactly the same. And that's the biggest challenge in my job right now.
And you have a wife and 3 kids.
3 daughters,
Do you feel like you have work-life balance, or is that something that is sort of on the horizon? It seems like you're building a culture that could result in that, but that you have so many things to do every day.
So it's a challenge to any chef you'd ever talk to. It's a challenge for them. I've gotten better, actually. So when we had one restaurant and I was the chef of the restaurant, it was much harder because they were depending on me for everything.
Yeah.
Now, because I can't be at all 3 restaurants all day, every day, they have to know to get along without me. And that actually gives me more flexibility because they already know what to do if I'm not there, so I don't have to be there, so I can prioritize my time. And at first, I used to go to like all 3 restaurants every day. And then I used to go to 1 restaurant a day. And then I got to the point when I make myself a schedule a week in advance, and I know where I'm going to be. It allows me to give kind of like a bird's eye look on the week. And I know, like, how much time did I spend with this chef? How much time did I spend with that chef? How much time did I spend in that restaurant? And it's something that, again, I've never thought. I wish I could cook more.
Yeah.
That's what I wish I could cook more of my food. But I don't, because I do want to spend more time with the managers, and I do want to spend more time with my family. So right now, I do get to spend some time with my family. Like yesterday, I left the restaurant at 4:30. I had I had to take my daughters to meet their camp counselors, but then I went back on my computer at 9 o'clock and worked till 1 because I missed that mid part of the day of all the administrative stuff, and we're launching a whole new menu next week, and we had to work all the content for the team on the new product.
So you've gotten a little flexibility, but the load hasn't really changed that much.
No, I mean, it is what it is. It's
Yeah.
It's a hospitality business. People, we work when other people have fun.
Right.
That's our job. Like, we work on the weekends, we work at night. 3 restaurants have given me more flexibilities, but it's never going to be like, I'm never going to work 40 hours a week.
Right.
It's not like 9 to 5 is not what I do. It's nobody. I think you'd fail in a restaurant if you'll try to work those hours.
Yeah. What's in your fridge at home?
Homemade Nutella that my wife made this week.
Yum.
I just opened it this morning. 3 pieces of grilled corn from Sunday. A lot of vegetable purees and yogurts. A lot of fruits. Strawberries, raspberries. Not a lot of meat. Yeah, my family, we're trying to cut on meat.
That's
Not
a lot
me,
more
but
well-rounded
yeah.
than what a lot of chefs will say.
Well,
is in
that's
their
because I have
fridge.
kids.
Yeah.
If you look at my fridge 3 years ago,
Yeah.
it would have pasta from 3 days ago.
Uh-huh.
Probably the same like grilled corn and some beer.
Yeah.
I do have beer in my fridge at home, but I got to keep it on the upper shelf because my daughters actually want to drink it.
Not quite ready yet.
I have a question about something we were talking about earlier, which was food festivals. And there's a food festival coming up in Greenville, Euphoria, that you're going to be doing a dinner at. So you'll be one of the chefs doing a signature dinner. And you mentioned that you wanted to move away from doing the big tasting events at festivals to really doing the more marquee events, these dinners, and to show that, you can do cuisine that's quote unquote elevated. Why is that important to you to kind of, for events like that, for people to have a different perception of what Yafo food can be and should be in their minds?
I'm very competitive. And I want, like any chef, I want people to know that I can make really good food. And I don't want people to categorize us or box us in this category like they do fast casual. They only make hummus and falafel and shawarma. Yafo is my first fast casual. And I think the more people see that I can do finer dining, versus I used to work fine dining before that. So the more people could understand that and it's not just me, I usually take another chef with me or some of our team members. If other people can see what we could do as a Yafo team, maybe they'll have a better understanding of the work that goes into making the food that we make here. because our lamb is a 12-hour braise, and then we, take the mirepoix and puree it and add it back in. And if we would serve it in a full-service restaurant with some pasta, it would have been an extraordinary dish. But I feel like when people come here, they tend to overlook it. And, it's just like a little bit of lamb in a bowl. And I still have that chip on my shoulder. It's like I always want to prove people that what we do here is so special and so different that it's not just... Maybe I should take it back, and I still have, not 100% agree with me, agreeing with myself for being a fast casual chef, because I try to be more than that. Mm-hmm. I try to do... And I don't think the food here is fast casual food. I think it's fine dining food that's served in a different way.
Yeah, absolutely. And what goes into developing, can you tell us anything that's kind of running through your head now for the Euphoria menu? You're putting together 5 courses. What's the thought process there, and where are you pulling that inspiration?
So I'm doing a beef dish. So when you do those dinners, there's 5 chefs. One of them is going to do desserts, so there's 4. Appetizers are separate, like past hors d'oeuvres. And then 3 of them are going to do chicken dishes, and I'm the only one that's doing the beef dish.
Oh, wow.
So I haven't finalized it, but I'm assuming because it's the beef dish, it's going to be the one before the dessert. And the first thing that people tell me are like, oh, you should do a play on an elevated skewer or some street food. And I said, I want to do something like we talked that's very different than that. So we're looking at some classic dishes that can allow us more refinement. So maybe some sort of a play on a baby of beef Wellington and smenakopita, or maybe something that will look into. Last thing I want to do is a short rib. Everybody does a short rib. Yeah. So, so we're looking at different things, and I'm working with the certified Angus beef people. So they're sending me next week a case of beef belly. So I was like, oh, everybody does pork belly and lamb bellies. I'm like, I've never had a beef belly. So I'm going to play with some beef bellies and see what we can do with that. So it's not finalized yet, but we're really trying to push something that's, thinking out of the box and taking something that's more elevated but not street food.
Okay, so another thing we talked about over lunch was that you have a lot of experience with paratrooping and jumping out of planes and skydiving, and we don't have time to get all into that, although it's a fascinating part of your life. But you had a takeaway of something that you apply from advice about skydiving to the kitchen, and can you talk about that and how that informs your philosophy in mentoring staff?
Yeah, so because I was in the military for 7 years, several wars, probably dozens of operations, my perspective is a little different than a lot of our employees. So I don't get upset as fast, and I don't... it's not that I don't take things seriously, but I have a different perspective on things. And I see a lot of our staff that they're either frustrated or walking around angry. And when you jump out of an airplane, one of the first things they teach you is to smile. Because when you smile, your body releases chemicals that soften the muscles, and it's actually better for you. And it's something that I took as like a mantra for my life. In your most stressful situations, which jumping out of an airplane that's perfectly good and functioning, and falling from 12,000 feet in 200 miles an hour, in the most stressful situation you can be, just smile. And for example, this morning I had a line cook that was behind on his production, and he was 2 minutes behind, and we opened the restaurant and he was missing something on the line, and he was frustrated for an hour later. And I said, hey, I get it, you messed up, smile now, let's go through service, and after service we can sit down and talk about it and figure where did we fail and how we can make it better, and how we can make sure we don't fail next time. And I think that's a big part of my military career, because in the military there's no blaming. There's no, I've worked with a lot of chefs. If you made a mistake, they'll ride your ass the whole service. I don't know if it's a PG podcast or not.
You're okay.
So, but for me, I don't believe in pointing fingers or blaming someone for messing up. I was like, okay, we all make mistakes. Now, how do we make sure we don't make it again? And for me, smiling in the most stressful situations has worked great. And I've learned that it creates a better work environment, and it also calms down everybody else around you. Because if you're frustrated and you're like really angry during service, then your front and half staff is going to feel it, and they're going to be frustrated and angry, and eventually that's going to affect your guest experience. So, smile all the time.
I think that's an awesome takeaway.
Yeah.
And I can confidently say every time we see you, you brighten our day and make us smile. And thank you so much for, just for sitting down with us and sharing incredible stories. Sometime we're going to do like the deep dive into the dive, get it? Into your kind of whole life story. And we had a really amazing conversation about jumping out of airplanes. But really, your place and your food and everything that you're doing here just makes us happy, and we can also see from all the people around us that we're not alone in that. And really thank you for everything that you do. You're awesome.
Thank you, and I'm always happy to see you if you come to restaurants or we see each other in food festivals that we talked about, and I'm always looking forward to seeing you guys. So
Awesome.
Thank you.
We'll hopefully see you again on the road soon. We are stepping up our coverage with HRN on tour, so we'll be in lots of cities near you. But this has been awesome. We are sad to go to the airport, but glad to go with stomachs full of Yafo Kitchen. So.
And last thing, we want to thank Charlotte's Got a Lot for making this whole trip to Charlotte possible. To the International Symposium on Bread, to our chef roundtable, and grand finale at Yafo Kitchen with Shai.
It's been awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks to Charlotte's Got a Lot, and thank you for listening.